talking about some preparation and tips for preparing your 2-year-old for the first ride. The first ride is very important, and probably more of a safe way to get on a 2-year-old is to do a lot of groundwork. There's two things that I want to talk to you about today in preparation for that 2-year-old. One is starting a horse on a lunge line. And this can work in the round pen as well if you've got a round pen to use, or simply like what we've got here on a lunge line. What we're going to do, our goals here today for the horse in the lunging demonstration that MC is going to put together for us is you can see that she's got her 20 or 30 foot long line. And what she's trying to do here is get a horse out on the lunge line, not just for exercise. A lot of people use lunging for older horses for exercise, but for this yearling or 2-year-old in preparation here, what we're after is that he starts to understand verbal command, body language, and that we start to make a connection with this horse before we get on him for the very first time his 2-year-old year. So here you can see that she's just walking, and we want to be able to do all 3 gaits on a lunge line: walk, jog, and lope, turn around, stop, go the other direction. And what we're doing is trying to make sure this horse understands that what we're asking him to do. The other thing with her body language and being soft and quiet here, she's asking this horse to walk. And when she asked him to jog, we'll go ahead and jog. You know, she just clucked. All she did was cluck a couple times. And that's going to be the exact same cue that when we get on him, when we ask him to jog, that's what we're going to be asking him to do. And so everything that we do with this horse, even on a lunge line, before we get on him, has to be consistent. So the cue for us, for me personally, is to lope, is to smooch. And so MC will ask your horse to lope by smooching. Takes him a minute. She encourages with her lunge whip. And we're not worried about the correct or improper leads here. We're just worrying about him getting into the lope here. So he's starting to figure out, just by pressure and cueing, what she's asking him to do. And so here what she'll do, she's keep him loping, MC, and then just be soft and ask him to come back to a jog. With her body language, she'll kind of take the pressure away and she'll ask him to jog. Another great thing that she's doing is that she's got this horse on the end of her line, and when she asks him to stop, we'll go ahead and stop by saying whoa. You notice that the horse stayed on the end of the lunge line. To me, one of the worst things you can do is teach a horse to come to you. So the horse gets scared, or you say whoa, he's not really whoaing, he's running to you. So this horse is respecting her space. She says whoa. When she's done lunging, she goes to the horse and gathers up her lunge line to move on to the next thing. Very nice demonstration for lunging and getting her horse in a preparation mode for getting on for the very first time. Here we are with our lunge lines put together in a driving fashion. What driving is getting behind the horse and teaching this horse how to steer before we ever get on him. And Chase is going to show you that here in just a second with this 2-year-old. But if you look here, what we've done is, this is very important that you tie these stirrups down, because we run our drive lines through those stirrups. And you'll see how those work here in just a second, but he's taken a lead rope and tied those stirrups down so that they're not flopping and moving out here when he's trying to drive, and you'll see where that comes into importance here in just a second. We start our horses driving with just a clip to the halter, kind of like a side pull. So it's going to work more like a side pull head stall would work before we ever put them in a bit. And then later on, as they understand what we're doing, we will attach these drive lines to a bit and drive them off a bit before we get on them. One of the very important things with driving is that these horses have been driven, so they're not going to have too much of an issue. But most horses, when you see Chase go ahead and flip that right rope over that horse's hip in preparation to get behind him, that rope hits a horse in the hock. A lot of times they get pretty scared about it. It may kick or try to move off. And it's important that you stay in a position that is far enough away. You can go ahead and get in position to drive, Chase. You stay far enough away that you don't have any issues with getting kicked or getting yourself in a jam. Before Chase moves off, you'll notice that he's got himself in a great position. He's far enough away that he's not going to get himself hurt. He's got control of both lines. Horse is secured with the lead rope, and halter looks good. Another thing that some horses are fearful of is not being able to see you. So this is the first time in their life that you're behind them, directly behind them. They have a hard time seeing you, and you're asking them for some command. So this can be a very sketchy spot the first couple times you may try to drive. All right, so Chase is he's ready to ask his horse to move. He's taught this horse in a lunge line that pressure means go forward at a walk, so he's gonna go ahead and ask the horse to move forward at a walk. That may mean just a little bit of verbal cue. That may mean using those ropes a little bit against their hip to encourage them to step off. But great thing here is that we have promoted this horse, every time we move, we've promoted go slow. We've taught him that on a lunge line, and now that we're teaching him to drive, he's not too concerned about what's going on. Now Chase, you can go ahead and make you a circle back to us, figure eight back to us, and you'll notice how he pulls the right line just like he would if he was on the horse riding the horse. So this horse at this point is learning how to give to pressure and learning how to be directed, which is a very, very nice thing once you get on that you've got some steering. Getting on a horse that has no brakes and no steering is pretty risky. Chase is going to be in a comfortable position when he gets onto this horse. Now Chase, what I want to show him here, go back to your left a little bit, and let's put this horse into a lunging circle like we would if he trotted off. So one thing that may happen is your horse gets scared and tries to run off or jog off, lope off, and instead of chasing them behind him, you wouldn't be able to keep up with them. If you turn them, like Chase has done here, put them in a lunge circle, and then they can jog, lope, and jog your horse, Chase. And we're also going to teach them again to respond to transition by being behind them, using our reins in this fashion, and getting them to relax. The key point here when you teach them this is to make sure that in this case the right rein, the outside rein, stays up hock high. You don't want to get that lunge line down lower than the hock so it gets tangled in the horse's feet. You don't want to get it way up high where they pin it against their tail and get scared that way as well. So here Chase has got a lot of control. If the horse decides to lope off, he's in control. And you can see here that with the stirrups tied down, he's still got that left rein and control. If that stirrup wasn't tied down, it'd be flopping up in the air and he wouldn't have the same kind of pressure with that inside rein that he does here. Chase, let's go ahead and walk. Eases up his pressure and then moves back in behind the horse and starts directing back into wherever he wants to go. We'll go left and then make us a tight little figure eight. We can do this big circles, small circles. Here the horse is really being comfortable with us, getting comfortable with us, and learning how to steer. We're also going to ask this horse to be able to stop and relax. So here, let's go ahead and say, whoa, Chase, see how much we can get him to stop. He says, whoa. You notice that he put a little bit of pressure on the drive lines, and the moment that horse stopped, you can see slack in the drive line. Exactly what we would be doing in a training position on the horse. Asking for a cue, which was stop. The horse responds with the correct response. Our reinforcement is going to be to release pressure and relax. So anytime we can promote that whoa means stop and you get a break and this horse doesn't have to do anything, that's going to make a lot of sense to him moving down the road. So there you go with the lunging and driving. You do these kind of things, get your horses really quiet. That first ride is definitely a more safe, relaxing, enjoyable experience for both you and the horse. Lunging and driving is definitely an important part to starting a horse, and take your time, go soft. There's no prereq for how many days or how many times you lunge, drive your horse. Another thing to think about is that if you've got a horse that's a little, quote, hotter, a little more excitable than others, then lunging is a great thing to go back to all the time, every day before you ride. If your horse is really relaxed, you may not need that. But take your time, take it one step at a time. Most importantly, read your horse, understand what they need next, and the whole experience will be a lot more enjoyable.